Understanding true value starts with asking the question, why? Every choice, every action, and every decision we make carries a reason behind it. Yet, most people focus only on the results, on the visible outcomes that others can see and measure. They chase approval, recognition, or material gain, believing that these external markers define their worth. But lasting value is never about appearances. It is about the deeper motivation that drives your actions. When you know your why, your life becomes intentional. You stop drifting along the currents of circumstance and begin to navigate with purpose. The clarity of your why transforms even small, ordinary actions into meaningful steps toward growth and influence. True value begins within. It starts by reflecting honestly on what matters to you beyond superficial rewards. If your choices are guided solely by external validation, you will always feel incomplete because validation is fleeting and dependent on forces outside your control. Understanding your why requires introspection. It demands you examine your goals, your passions, your fears, and the principles you refuse to compromise. It asks you to identify what you stand for, what you refuse to tolerate, and what you are willing to invest your time, energy, and emotions into. This inner clarity becomes the foundation upon which you build not only your personal worth, but also the respect and influence you hold in the eyes of others. When you act with a clear why, your decisions carry weight. You no longer bend to the opinions or expectations of everyone around you because your actions are anchored in purpose rather than reaction. People are naturally drawn to those who know their direction. They sense the difference between someone moving randomly and someone moving intentionally. Your why communicates confidence, strength, and authenticity even before you speak. It transforms every interaction into an opportunity to demonstrate not just competence, but integrity and alignment. A deep understanding of your why also fuels resilience. Life will inevitably test you with challenges, setbacks, and disappointments. Without a clear reason for what you do, these obstacles can feel overwhelming, leading to doubt or despair. But when you are grounded in your why, you see difficulties not as random misfortune, but as necessary lessons and steps along a meaningful path. Purpose becomes your anchor, helping you remain steadfast when external circumstances fluctuate. The clarity of your why gives you the strength to persevere, to make difficult choices, and to maintain your standards even when the easier path is tempting. Moreover, knowing your why creates influence beyond yourself. High value is not measured only by personal achievement, it is reflected in the impact you have on others. When your actions are guided by a thoughtful purpose, they resonate with people who share your values or aspire to your example. You inspire without forcing, lead without dominating, and affect change without seeking recognition. Influence that comes from a deep why is sustainable and authentic because it stems from alignment rather than performance. People trust those who act with intention because intention signals integrity and reliability. The journey to discovering your why is ongoing. It is not a single moment of insight, but a continual process of reflection, learning, and alignment. Life will challenge your assumptions, shift your priorities, and present choices that test your commitment. Each time you pause to examine your why, you reinforce your value by ensuring your actions remain in harmony with your deeper purpose. It is this self-awareness and deliberate action that differentiate those who merely exist from those who lead, inspire, and leave a lasting impression. In essence, true value begins when you understand why you do what you do. Every choice becomes intentional, every action meaningful, and every challenge an opportunity to strengthen your foundation. When your why is clear, you move through life with focus, confidence, and authenticity. Others will notice it, not because you demand attention, but because your purpose radiates naturally, shaping both your path and the way the world responds to you. The deeper your understanding of your why, the more profound and lasting the value you create becomes. Consistency is the quiet force that transforms promises into trust, intentions into impact, and dreams into reality. Many people speak eloquently about their goals, their values, and the change they wish to see in themselves or the world, yet few follow through. Words alone are fragile. They can be impressive for a moment, but they carry no weight unless backed by repeated action. Respect, trust, and influence are not earned in a single speech or a fleeting gesture. They are built over time through the steady rhythm of consistent behavior. Character is the product of repetition, of showing up when it is inconvenient, of choosing integrity even when no one is watching, and of aligning daily actions with the principles you claim to hold dear. Consistency starts with clarity. To live consistently, you must first know what you stand for and what matters most to you. Without a defined standard, it is impossible to act reliably. People who drift between ideals or who let circumstances dictate their behavior appear unsteady and unreliable, even if their intentions are good. But those who live with a clear framework of values create predictability, not in a rigid or mechanical way, but in a way that communicates reliability, integrity, and stability. When your words and actions align day after day, others begin to see you not just as someone with good ideas, but as someone they can count on, someone whose presence and decisions carry weight. Consistency also strengthens discipline. Life is filled with moments that tempt shortcuts, excuses, and compromises. The easy path often promises immediate relief, recognition, or gain, but taking it undermines long-term respect. Character is forged precisely in those moments when sticking to your principles requires effort, patience, and restraint. Each choice to act according to your values, even when inconvenient, reinforces your character, building a reputation that is resilient, credible, and admirable. It is not the grand gestures, but the repeated, small acts of integrity that accumulate into a life others look up to. Another key aspect of consistency is reliability in relationships. People naturally gravitate toward those who are steady, who can be trusted to keep commitments, and who respond predictably in critical situations. Inconsistent behavior breeds doubt, confusion, and tension. Friends, colleagues, and partners respect those who show up in alignment with their word, who deliver on promises, and who remain steadfast when challenges arise. This respect is not given lightly, it is earned slowly, day by day, through a pattern of dependable behavior. Consistency also shapes internal confidence and self-respect. When you act repeatedly in accordance with your values, you begin to trust yourself. You learn that your word matters, that your choices align with your purpose, and that you are capable of following through even under pressure. This internal consistency creates a foundation of self-respect that does not waver with external approval or criticism. It allows you to stand firm in your convictions, to make difficult decisions with clarity, and to navigate life with a sense of control and certainty. Furthermore, consistency amplifies influence. Leaders, mentors, and role models are not admired solely for their ideas or eloquence, but for their consistent example. Their impact grows because their audience observes that their principles are not situational, that their behavior does not shift with convenience or trend. Each consistent action compounds over time, creating a legacy of integrity, competence, and reliability that resonates far beyond any single moment. Living consistently is not always easy. It requires awareness, reflection, and the courage to act in alignment with your values even when distractions, pressure, or temptation arise. But it is precisely this steadfastness that creates character. Character is visible not in grand proclamations, but in the quiet, repeated choices to live authentically, to honor commitments, and to embody principles in daily life. People do not respect what is said once, but they respect what is lived every day. Consistency transforms words into trust, intentions into influence, and human potential into enduring character, shaping both how the world sees you and how you see yourself. Boundaries are the invisible lines that define who you are, what you stand for, and how others are allowed to engage with you. They are not walls built to isolate, but structures designed to protect your dignity, energy, and purpose. Too often, people confuse being agreeable with being valuable, believing that constantly saying yes will earn love, approval, or acceptance. In reality, indiscriminate compliance erodes respect and diminishes influence. True respect is not given to those who always accommodate. It is granted to those who know their limits and communicate them clearly. Saying no with clarity is a declaration of self-worth, a statement that your time, energy, and values are not negotiable. Just as saying yes with passion signals commitment, saying no with conviction signals integrity, strength, and discernment, setting boundaries requires self-awareness. You must first understand what you will tolerate, what aligns with your values, and what depletes your energy or compromises your principles. Without this clarity, every interaction becomes reactive, leaving you vulnerable to manipulation, overextension, or resentment. Boundaries are a reflection of self-respect. They communicate that you are conscious of your priorities and that you refuse to sacrifice them for temporary comfort, social approval, or the expectations of others. People sense this awareness. When boundaries are respected, trust deepens, interactions become healthier, and relationships flourish in a space of mutual recognition rather than imbalance. Clarity in saying no is as important as the act itself. A vague or hesitant refusal often leads to misunderstanding or repeated overstepping. Saying no with clarity requires confidence and precision. It is about being firm without being harsh, direct without being dismissive. The strength of a clear no lies not in its rejection, but in the principle it represents. It signals to others that your values are non-negotiable, that your commitments are intentional, and that your time and energy are finite resources that you protect diligently. In turn, people learn to respect your choices, follow your lead, and approach you with honesty and consideration. Boundaries are not limited to interactions with others. They also extend inward. Protecting your time, energy, and mental space is essential for personal growth and effectiveness. Without boundaries, you risk being consumed by distractions, demands, or the expectations of people who do not understand or share your priorities. A high-value life is structured around intentional allocation of energy, where commitments are chosen with purpose and distractions are filtered with discernment. Saying no to what drains you creates the capacity to say yes to what elevates you, strengthens your impact, and aligns with your purpose. Setting boundaries also enhances authenticity. When you constantly say yes out of fear, obligation, or guilt, you dilute your identity and compromise your voice. People may appreciate your compliance, but they do not respect it. True respect arises when your actions are aligned with your beliefs and when your interactions reflect honesty rather than appeasement. A clear boundary communicates that you are unapologetically yourself, that your presence has conditions rooted in values rather than convenience, and that you operate from a place of integrity rather than fear. Boundaries cultivate long-term influence and trust. People gravitate toward those who are predictable in their principles, who honor commitments, and who act consistently from a foundation of clarity. By establishing what is acceptable and what is not, you create an environment in which respect is mutual and interactions are meaningful. Over time, boundaries distinguish between fleeting approval and lasting admiration, separating those who value you superficially from those who recognize your true worth. Learning to say no with clarity is a skill, a practice, and a mindset. It requires courage, self-awareness, and consistency, but the rewards are profound. Boundaries build respect not through intimidation or rigidity, but through clarity, integrity, and the conscious protection of what matters most. They allow you to engage fully in the opportunities, relationships, and pursuits that deserve your energy while preventing depletion by what does not. Just as saying yes with passion signals commitment, saying no with clarity signals value, strength, and self-respect, creating a life defined by intentional choice rather than reaction, and ensuring that every interaction reflects not only who you are, but also who you will not compromise for anyone. Confidence is often misunderstood as a measure of how we compare to others. Society constantly presents benchmarks, standards of beauty, success, achievement, and influence that tempt us to judge our worth in relation to someone else. We are told to measure ourselves against the accomplishments, possessions, or status of others, believing that comparison will reveal where we stand. Yet this is a false metric. True confidence does not arise from outshining others or securing external validation. It comes from alignment with your own principles, from living in a way that is consistent with your values, beliefs, and purpose. Confidence without comparison is self-sustaining because it is rooted in internal clarity rather than external judgment. To cultivate this confidence, one must first define personal principles. These are the core truths that guide decisions, shape priorities, and inform behavior. They are not borrowed from trends, peers, or societal expectations. They are discovered through reflection, experience, and honest self-assessment. When you know what you stand for, the question of how you measure up to others becomes irrelevant. You are no longer striving to match or exceed someone else's life. You are focused on being faithful to your own standards. Alignment with your principles creates a steady foundation from which every action, decision, and interaction can be approached with certainty. Comparison, by contrast, undermines confidence. When we constantly evaluate ourselves against others, we allow external factors, appearances, opinions, or perceived successes to dictate our self-worth. This fosters insecurity, envy, and doubt. It shifts focus from self-improvement and authentic living to performative achievement, leaving a sense of emptiness even when accomplishments are attained. Confidence built on comparison is fragile. It fluctuates with changing circumstances, the recognition of others, or the success of those around us. It is dependent, conditional, and ultimately unsustainable. Living in alignment with your own principles allows confidence to flourish because it is self-affirmed. Each decision you make that reflects your values reinforces trust in yourself. Each boundary you maintain, each commitment you honor, and each action taken with integrity strengthens the sense that you are living authentically. Confidence emerges from knowing that you are accountable to yourself first, not to the fluctuating opinions of others. It is a quiet assurance that your worth is not subject to debate because it is defined by adherence to a set of standards only you hold. This principle also transforms how we perceive success. Success is no longer a contest. It is the natural outcome of consistent alignment with your purpose. Achievements are celebrated as reflections of dedication and integrity rather than as trophies in comparison to peers. Confidence grows because it is earned daily through choices that are consistent with personal principles rather than borrowed from external praise or validation. The more consistently you act according to your values, the stronger and more unshakable your confidence becomes. Furthermore, confidence without comparison allows you to approach challenges and relationships with authenticity. You engage with the world not to impress or compete, but to contribute, learn, and grow. You are free from the pressure to conform, manipulate perception, or mimic others' successes. This freedom creates a magnetic presence. People are naturally drawn to those who are grounded, self-assured, and principled because such individuals inspire trust, admiration, and respect. Confidence in this sense is not boastful. It is calm, steady, and compelling precisely because it does not seek validation. Ultimately, confidence is cultivated when your actions, words, and decisions are aligned with the values that define you. Measuring your worth against others is a distraction from the deeper work of self-awareness, integrity, and personal growth. Alignment with your own principles creates a self-sufficient form of confidence, resilient, consistent, and genuine, that does not depend on the opinions, achievements, or standards of anyone else. This is the foundation of real value because it transforms external pressures into internal clarity and fleeting recognition into enduring self-assurance. True value is measured not by what we accumulate, but by what we contribute. Society often emphasizes consumption, how much we can acquire, achieve, or possess. From material wealth to social recognition, the focus is frequently on taking rather than giving. Yet a life built solely around accumulation is hollow. It may provide temporary satisfaction, but it does not create lasting impact. Meaningful relationships, or inner fulfillment. Contribution, on the other hand, transforms both the giver and the world around them. High value arises when you focus on what you can offer, the difference you can make, and the positive influence you can create rather than merely what you can obtain for yourself. Contribution begins with mindset. To contribute meaningfully, you must shift focus from self-interest to purpose-driven action. It requires the willingness to ask, how can I serve? How can I lift others? What value can I bring to situations, relationships, or communities? These questions orient your energy outward rather than inward. A person who prioritizes contribution sees challenges and opportunities as chances to create impact rather than as threats to their comfort or resources. Contribution is not a limited act. It multiplies through action, inspiration, and example. The more consistently you contribute, the more value you cultivate, not only in the eyes of others, but also in the depth of your own character and fulfillment. Giving effectively demands intentionality. Contribution is not about overextending or seeking recognition. It is about providing what is meaningful and relevant. It could be your time, knowledge, skills, encouragement, or even just attention and empathy. Each act of giving builds trust, fosters respect, and creates ripple effects that reach far beyond immediate interactions. The impact of contribution lies in its ability to strengthen connections, solve problems, and inspire others to act in alignment with shared values. Those who focus only on consumption often miss the opportunity to leave a legacy because taking alone rarely leaves enduring significance. Contribution also cultivates personal growth. When you focus on giving, you are compelled to develop your abilities, broaden your understanding, and deepen your awareness of the world and its needs. Contribution challenges complacency because it requires engagement, creativity, and responsibility. High-value individuals recognize that growth and giving are intertwined. The more effectively you contribute, the more you evolve. Your actions not only improve the circumstances of others, but also enhance your skills, perspective, and resilience. Contribution in this sense becomes both an outward and inward practice, enriching those around you while strengthening your own capacity and character. Furthermore, contribution fosters respect and trust. People naturally gravitate toward those who add value rather than take it. Contribution signals generosity, competence, and reliability. It demonstrates that you are not motivated solely by self-interest, but by a broader purpose that extends beyond personal gain. High-value individuals are respected because their presence benefits others consistently. They are seen as sources of support, guidance, and inspiration. Consumption alone, even if impressive, rarely produces the same level of influence because it is transactional rather than transformational. The distinction between contribution and consumption also applies to legacy. What we give endures far longer than what we take. Material possessions, accolades, and transient accomplishments fade, but the impact of guidance, mentorship, creativity, compassion, and empowerment continues to influence long after immediate interactions have passed. High value is reflected in the positive imprint left on people, communities, and systems. Contribution ensures that your existence matters beyond your own experience because it invests in something larger than yourself. Ultimately, embracing contribution over consumption requires intentional action, self-awareness, and courage. It demands moving beyond the temptation of accumulation and focusing on the difference you can make. High value emerges when giving is prioritized, when influence is measured by benefit rather than gain, and when legacy is defined by impact rather than acquisition. Contribution transforms ordinary actions into significance, fleeting efforts into lasting influence, and individual presence into collective benefit, creating a life defined not by what is taken, but by what is given. True strength is not revealed during moments of comfort, ease, or agreement. It is forged in the fires of adversity, challenge, and uncertainty. Life inevitably presents storms, situations that test patience, resilience, and composure. It is in these moments that the essence of a person is exposed, not by what they say, but by how they respond. Grace under pressure is the ability to navigate difficulty with calm, clarity, and integrity. It is a mark of high value because it demonstrates self-mastery, resilience, and unwavering alignment with one's principles even when external circumstances are chaotic or threatening. Grace under pressure begins with perspective. When faced with stress, setbacks, or conflict, the instinctive reaction is often to panic, react impulsively, or assign blame. These responses may provide immediate relief or vent frustration, but they rarely lead to resolution or respect. Those who demonstrate grace under pressure pause before responding. They assess the situation objectively, separating emotion from action, and consider both short-term consequences and long-term implications. This ability to maintain perspective ensures that decisions are deliberate rather than reactionary, and that responses are rooted in principle rather than fear or ego. Composure is a cornerstone of grace. People who handle pressure gracefully exhibit a calmness that inspires confidence in others. Calmness does not mean passivity or avoidance. It is the steady presence of mind that allows for clear thinking and effective problem solving. Maintaining composure under duress signals inner strength. It reassures those around you that challenges are manageable, that your character is intact, and that solutions can be found without resorting to chaos or compromise of values. This type of strength is magnetic because it provides stability in moments when uncertainty threatens to overwhelm. Resilience is also critical. Grace under pressure is not the absence of struggle or difficulty, it is the ability to recover, adapt, and continue forward without losing one's sense of self. Setbacks, criticism, or unexpected obstacles are inevitable, but those who exhibit grace treat them as opportunities to learn, grow, and demonstrate endurance. Resilience under pressure reinforces confidence, cultivates respect, and establishes credibility. It communicates that strength is not conditional on comfort, but is sustained through commitment, patience, and steadfastness. Another element of grace under pressure is emotional intelligence. High-value individuals recognize and regulate their emotions while remaining empathetic to the emotions of others. They communicate clearly, listen actively, and navigate tense situations without escalating conflict. Emotional awareness allows for strategic responses where influence is exerted through understanding rather than domination. It demonstrates maturity and self-control, qualities that elevate both personal and professional relationships. Integrity is inseparable from grace under pressure. It is easy to maintain principles when circumstances are favorable, but the true test of character comes when integrity is challenged. Maintaining honesty, fairness, and ethical behavior during stressful or high-stakes situations reflects an unshakable commitment to values. People observe not just outcomes, but the process, the demeanor choices, and conduct under strain. Integrity under pressure ensures that respect is earned, trust is maintained, and influence is sustained even in difficult circumstances. Finally, grace under pressure shapes perception and legacy. Individuals who handle storms with composure, resilience, emotional intelligence, and integrity leave an impression that transcends immediate results. They become models of strength, inspiration, and reliability. Their ability to navigate adversity without compromising essence amplifies their value and influence as others are drawn to emulate their calm courage and steadfast character. Grace under pressure is cultivated through awareness, practice, and reflection. It requires embracing challenges as opportunities to demonstrate strength, mastering emotional regulation, and committing to principles that guide action regardless of circumstance. This capacity to remain centered, composed, and principled amid difficulty distinguishes those who merely endure life from those who thrive and inspire. It is through grace under pressure that true strength is revealed, influence is solidified, and character shines most brightly, creating a lasting impact that goes beyond immediate success, recognition, or comfort.